You are now on the record.
Very good. And, this challenge, we say it's interesting because challenges are interesting when they're simple, but there's also different ways of doing it, and it can be complicated. There's so much more you can do with it. Why did I pick a scrolling display? Because we can do a nice, easy scrolling display, and we can also do a very complicated scrolling display as well. Now, I'll just see if I've got, I can share this screen here with you. And where are we over here? I might move my camera along here a little bit here too. We can see all this. And I'm going to share the screen here, which is going to be this one down here, I think, that one there. I'll just share the whole screen. And I'm just waiting to see how that comes through. This is the problem I had last time. You can see the screen okay? This is just my little document. Yeah, okay.
Font is good, rendering is good. Perfect.
Beautiful. All right, okay. I've kept it HD on that particular one there. And interesting, we had an entry from Frank. And so what he did, he had the ESP32, because you guys love the ESP32, and so what did he do? Well, he said, okay, look, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get the Max 7219 chip and drive an 8x8 LED display. And he looked at the hardware SPI bus, the SPI, serial peripheral interface bus, and it was a bit awkward with the way it was with the pins and also with the whole interface. So he said, okay, look, I'm just going to do a bit bash type interface to it. So he only had an 8x8 display, so that's good enough for one character, but then you have to generate the font as well. However, looking at Frank's entry there, and I've got now hopefully this comes up here, and I should really might just make sure I can monitor this on one of these other ones here, just so I can see what's coming up there. Or you just let me know. Look, is this other page come up, or is it still? Have you got this other page up now, or can you see another page?
And you just clicked a commercial away.
Yeah, that's right. Good. That's right, because it's it's one of these, I don't know, 20 pages. But anyway, so here he is. You can see the 8x8 display that he got, and here he is. He is hooking that up to this, and he has a big write-up talking about the SPI bus and what you can do with that, and so on, master slave, etc. So he's done a lot of work on this, putting this together, and he's used the 7219 chip, which many will know. They use those for those 7-segment displays. So the 8-digit 7-segment display drivers on eBay, you buy a lot of those Max 7219s, and basically it's a serial peripheral interface on there. So he's driving that and we can see this hookup up here where he has that's not actually the display, of course, that's the actual chip that he's hooking up there, the clock, the chip select, the data in, and of course power to that. And here is his breadboard setup. Right now, just looking at the code now, what he has in here, he has added some low-level controls to talk to the pins. So he wants a high and a low. I do similar things as high and low, etc. And writing out to there, and also one that can wait for a transition as well, which we don't really need in this particular instance. And so he has a write-up about talking to the Max 7219 chip here with the SPI protocol and how we can send a byte of data down to it. And so all of this is mainly to talk to the chip itself. Now, bear in mind that the challenge, we have the Padawan challenge, which is really just a one-line ASCII. This is one line, one character, but it requires that you generate a font. And so this is what he has done in here, in that he has, I'll have a look to see where it is now, because we've got a font table in here. Here he goes. And he talks about this font table, and and scrolling characters, but the actual font table is further down here. So I think I'll have to find it again because it's down here, and it's quite a bit of code in this. Here we go. Here's the actual font table, and he assigns the he defines the font table after all the other code, but then he does the what are you in the ESP32? You do the fonts over here, fonts to the actual font. So you assign the pointer back to it. So the table of characters. So we're not just doing the hello world. We're doing the full ASCII character set and symbols, alphanumerics. And so here's the font table there. And he also has a little bit of fun because, you know, he likes to do a poem here as well, initializing the 7219 and talking to that and scrolling through and so on. I've got a little video. I'll just show you the video now and see how that comes up. Just make sure that you can see that okay. Can you see the video? Or do I have to change the share setting? Is that coming through?
No video just yet.
Okay, that's right. I might just change the share setting, and new share will be, I just want to share the whole screen, which is, there's too many options up here. The whole desktop, is that the one? Maybe. Maybe I'll change it. I'll bring the video up for the moment. I'll come back to the other one. Okay, so you can see this window up here. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So he's just running through that. You can see that scrolling through there. Okay. So it's saying hello world. And of course, because he's doing one character, you can't really jump a character at a time. But what you can do is scroll in a new column of the next character and so on. So he ends up with, I'll play that one again, just so we can see that ESP32 here. And this is good because I like this. It's combining the elements of not just the software, because, you know, software we can run on almost anything, but the ESP32 and actual hardware, a chip and LEDs. And we can see that operating there. So the code may look a little more complicated. Now, here, hi Frank, how you going? Good to see you.
Hi.
Yeah, so we're just saying that. Yeah. And so what I'll just do is I'll come back to your page there. I'll get that share screen back up again. Okay, here we go. The mini marquee, and so on the one character display, he's using the hardware, doing the font generation, and having some fun. And for the actual program itself is nothing more than just this, really, you know, pretty much, you know, it's just really just one line of code if you want to put it all in one line of code there. And I think I can make that a bit larger too, so you can see it a bit better. So certainly when we want down here, when we want text, we pass a string there to it. And of course, depending on whether we're doing interpretively or compiled, it will go through and pass that through to scrolling, which will, of course, do the actual scrolling part of it. So the essence of it, that part that's the main one. And of course, scroll character will look up the font and move across one at a time. Let's have a little look at that one there too, just so we get a bit of an idea what's happening here. On the scroll character, we've got a new character, but we don't want to replace the whole character on the display in one go. We want to have it come across just as we saw in that little video. So this is what's happening here, in that we are going through, checking the range of the character, obviously, and then looking up the font. Forgive the cursor here at the moment, but looking at the font table, you know, basically what you want to be able to do is multiply it up basically 8 times, really, and then use that as an offset into the table there. And so he passes that through the scroll screen back here, and this is the part that gets that font and moves that into the display. And as you can see, there's a pause update screen. Is this the one, right, Frank? I think down here, that's right. So you've got a loop here and one column at a time. Yep. Okay. So, and that's the effect that he uses. Of course, with a multi-line display, it's probably a little bit different, but a multi-character display, but that works well. And so we have all this code here. So I'll come back down to what I thought of it. I had a little bit here. You can see this here. We've got the fourth 2020 challenge. What we're looking at doing. We had the simple demo up here. Remember where we went demo, hello world, and we're scrolling on an ASCII display terminal, and then we had the night class where we come up and we're going to get fancy. We look up a font and we generate that over multiple lines on a terminal display. And the part of the challenge was also doing it with other displays, because we might want to make an actual display. We know we want to put this up over Peter Forth's head there, a big LED display with WS2812 neopixels, and it's going to go Forth 2020, scrolling across there. We might even do that, Peter. But as we can see here, what Frank has done as he has combined these two elements together into a single character display. And so well done. And I'll just see what notes I've got in here. I made a note. You have fun. The important thing is when we really want to learn Forth, we've got to have fun. In my opinion, we've got to do that. When we have fun, we're really creative and productive. And so I like the way that you implemented the font there, and the way that it does a smooth scroll as well. So it's quite readable in that video. And so very well done, Frank. Good to see your entry there. And there's much more to that there. We've got a couple of other entries here. Here's a late one here from Aussie, fellow Aussie, but he's from down south, down Melbourne. So but Darren Hoskins, and he's new here on the forum. And I haven't I've had a really busy week, but I just had a look at this one before, and I ran it up in GForth in a terminal, and it runs the I think here it is. I put it up in here. I think I can run it. You mightn't see this yet because, yes, what I've got to do is change my share, which I won't bother doing at the moment, but believe me, it works just like the other display does. Okay, so it works like this one here. We go back to this one here, as you can see, this one here in the hello world. So it works very similar to that one there. And in his code, this one here, scroll, he uses a string, leaves it on the stack, the address and the count or whatever it is, and then begins his loop. Infinite loop here, where he goes through and for the number of characters in the string, goes through the loop. What do you need to do? Well, this is what he's doing there. He's calculating which is the current character, etc., position, and typing from there. Now, the thing is that to make it work properly, it didn't have a delay in there, so we needed about 100 milliseconds delay. And also it made a mess on the same line, so an extra carriage return line feed, in fact. So we've got that one. This is like a one line, and effectively Frank's is a one line too, except for the extra font scrolling. And so that's well done as well. Anybody that enters the challenge, well done. Right? And I also have, moving on from Darren, I also have this one from Chris Curl, and he's entered his fourth variant here with the hello world, and he also does font generation. He does it a slightly different way, as you can see in here. I haven't got a video of this, so I haven't run this at all, and maybe I might be able to talk about it a bit more next time or on the group. And he is using strings for all his. This one, no doubt, looks like the space character. Okay, nice and blank, and then this one, etc. We can see all the 8. Or how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. So 8 by 8 font almost, I'd say, very similar to it. And so he's generating the font that way, but with individual words. Sometimes, we do this for a small number of characters, perhaps. But when we want to be general, well, font table is the best way to do this. Just go straight into it. And so this is interesting. As I said, I haven't been able to run this yet, but just looking at what he does here, in that we have right down the very end here, generating the string, and then running the Jedi message. I might ask Chris to see if he can do a little video of that and a little bit more on that, because I'm not familiar with that. But looks like obviously he is doing a file write of some kind and putting the character there, which must be to the screen, I guess. So I'll find out more about that. You there, Chris, at all? I'll just have to just stop sharing for a moment just so I can see the screen. And I'll just stop sharing. I'll pause share maybe. I'll pause share. Okay, I can't really see that. Okay, well, that's right. Well, I'll have to ask Chris on the group anyway. And so the fourth challenge, it can be very simple, one line. It can be very complicated, and especially when we're driving hardware. And in Frank's case, of course, he had to write the bit bash driver. I also do bit bashing a lot because it's very flexible. You know, you think it's not as fast. Well, when you're writing characters to an LED display, how fast do you need it? Does it need to be 100 megahertz? I don't think you can run it that fast. Does it need to be 25 megahertz? No. And in fact, bit bashing, you can easily get up to many 5, 10 megahertz easily with bit bashing, depending on how it's implemented, of course. And this is a technique I also use as well. For instance, I'll see if I can just share my screen with you with my bit of code and here for the banner, just to show you what I'm doing. So I'll just change the share and put it across onto this screen here. Hopefully this is the right one. Yep, that looks like it. Okay, so you can see my studio code there, Visual Studio Code. Okay, and I might blow it up a little bit more in size. And essentially what I just do in the very simple example here, and we'll pull that across there, is very much, I'm just looking for the right one in here. Okay, this is on my old propeller P1. The putter one simply goes through with a string, hello world, and uses 2 loops using an I and a J index. So what we need to do, we don't have to do any swapping, mucking about really. We're just adding the index into, I and J together, making sure we're wrapped around to this is actually a 0F and 16 characters, or we can do a modulo operation, etc. And we just make sure that that's added into the string, and then we fetch the character out of the string. So basically what it'll just do, it'll just, each time it comes back through the loop, again, it'll just progress to the next character. And so that'll just keep doing that until we hit a key and exits. Interesting, the one, I call it the night one, uses the font, the big font that you saw scrolling before, that I had running across there. It doesn't do much, does pretty much the same thing. We can see this I and J and limiting that to 16 characters, or however we do that, fetching that character. Instead of emitting it this time, I just pass it straight through to an emit routine, which looks up my font and works out how to do up and down. That's not really part of this exercise. It is and it isn't, but it looks after that for me. And as we can see, it's essentially the same as this part here, where we just go through and just send out those characters. So this is one of the reasons why we really factor in forth. You know, it's an emit routine. I could make it a general purpose emit routine, and then, you know, if I wanted to, instead of just printing normal ASCII characters, I can use it to print very large. So that's all I had. You know, it's there's a bit before that which basically goes through and makes sure that I turn off the cursor and I'll put in bold because I like to see it like that, and set it all up. So there's only about 70 something bytes in that one there, and plus another 70 bytes in the emit routine. And of course the font will take up what it takes, 8 by 8 per character by 128 characters if you want to include control characters. That's pretty much it at the moment. Hey, any feedback? I'll just turn off the share for the moment so I can see everybody. Yeah. Frank, yeah, I'll just say, yeah, so there you are. So thank you for your entry very much, Frank. Yeah. And thank you everyone for participating and the interest in it.
Sinh viên nữa
I'm
cho
gonna-
em.
Yeah, I'm going to hunt for an idea for the next challenge. Sorry.
Wonderful, Peter. Thank you. I think Frank Lin is here in the meeting. Hello, Frank. Please unmute. You are muted.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see you all here.
It's late in your country, and we thank you for joining. And Peter Jackaki explained all your wonderful work.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay. And do you like to show us something? Have you prepared a setup of your hardware?
You mean the
display
mini?
is, can you share
okay.
this with us, with the group?
But I think Peter already made.
No problem. No problem.
Very good explain. Okay, man. Yeah, but yeah, I would send. Yeah, just hello
Okay.
world. Okay, but I think the program, the Peter already did a good explain on the program, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, fantastic.
But yes. But I like it when you held it up because I like to see it live as well. We all do, don't we? We like to see the live photos. Yeah, very good. Yeah,
and very happy to join here. My first time to join the room meeting.
We like
Okay.
your enthusiasm. We like your enthusiasm and your nice documents. They are perfect, very, very clever, very, very
Okay.
well written.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I will try to write the English below. Maybe better. Yeah. Right now, I write in Chinese. Okay. So you guys use the Google Translate.
Look, in my opinion, Peter agrees. I think he's showing with the hands. He agrees. Google has translated very well your document, so it's very, very nice.
Okay, good.